Here we go with Dragon Age, the World of Thedas, Volume 1. This is a beautiful, beautiful book from BioWare. You can see that it's pretty thick as well in content, and a great little bit of wraparound artwork there with blurb on the back. All of the official companies this has gone through. This is an in-house book. Now, really lovely emboldened type print, and it just feels great embossed there like that. Especially the one at the bottom is Schmooper Schmexy. Great artwork inside as well. And now I've just look at that, how ancient that looks. And again, you know, I don't really have to say too much here. Just settling on this image is quite frankly gorgeous. It's a full color book. It's big. It's hardback. And, you know, I really have to recommend it to you. From just this opening preview, and of course I don't want to show you too much because, you know, it would break copyright laws, but just enough to show you kind of what it's about. This is a great little touch here. This legend here with the major powers on. You know, George R.R. Martin, much? Song of Ice and Fire style. But that's a great idea. And those icons will come into play later in the book too. Great quality Thedas map, of course, and there's, you know, a lot more expanse to come, as we can see. That's the animation style imagery that we see in the opening cutscenes. Now you see, this is where the first symbols come in, and we have a timeline. Now instead of having and see, so that's a Dalish symbol, for example, and the way this timeline thing works, instead of having like a section, a chapter of the book where it's just all like timeline entries, one underneath the other and so on. Instead, we get it interspaced all throughout the book. It's very, very clever. And now, I mean, I bought this book because for the purposes of the role-play tabletop game of Dragon Age. I'm the GM of that. And to be honest, from looking through it, having not fully read it yet, it is a wonderful resource that will absolutely expand your confidence within it. You know, especially if it's for the RPG purposes. I mean, I can see some great bit of imagery there. I can see some people getting hold of this for reasons that they're just into the computer game via whatever platform they've got it on. A little bit of Dragon Age 3 type imagery there. I'm sure we've all seen that imagery there, so we know now that that's the Dalish. But as a, you know, it's really indispensable because what it does is it builds confidence in you as a GM, because it says, you know, this is the other stuff about the world. And if you've got any smart aleck players in your group that seem to know more about it than you, then if you're the GM, you can get this book and it will balance everything back up again. So we've had a races section on the book. We've got nations, and again, back to the timeline. You see here in the timeline, we're in ancient, so we're in minus, and then if you flick all the way through the entire content of the book, that carries on all the way along the bottom. So, you know, further into the book, you just are reading the timeline as you go, so it's a great little incentivizer to keep you going and something else to read along the bottom, or you could just ignore it. It's definitely sort of good as maybe a reference book as well, to be able to flick back to and say, oh, you know, I just want to check something. Or maybe you just open it up and flick through the timeline because you want to check some of the important periods through the ages. But it's just the sheer astounding quality that comes out at you. And again, you know, I don't want to show you too much of the page in respect to the copyright laws. Magic, obviously, mages are thoroughly feared, and heck, they are the cause of the blights, after all, and the darkspawn, and so there would have to be a massive section on that. And, you know, magic's a really big part of this world. Also, really, and of course, religion is another part of it, but that all ties together, really, to say there's a great thing on the foreword of this book where the designer of it says, oh, I was trying to imagine what Earth would have been like in its history if we'd have had all elves and dwarves and magic running around and people that could wield and cast that, and then, you know, how we would have behaved. And then when you look at it in that way, with that sort of understanding, and I suppose that's what this book does, you know, it gives you extra comprehension, that extra ability to understand, and you really do see that this is a This is a world that isn't just here for the computer games and to just have a quick tie-in tabletop role-playing game, even though sometimes, you can be worried that something's going to go that way. Oh, the nug. You can see that BioWare's really committed. And if this is Volume 1, then what the hell is Volume 2 going to be? What's the deal with that? It's supposed to be a Genlock? Look at the size of that. It's more sort of like ogre-sized, isn't it? Maybe they've just portraying it very poorly. It's really great that we've got a bestiary here, because in the original GM kits, sometimes it just alludes and explanations in text of what some things are, but there aren't supporting imagery of everything. And yes, you might afford it in the computer games, but you can't always really see it very well. So, having a nice stationary picture here that you can appreciate helps to get the character across of what some of these beasties might be like. Some of this is imagery we've seen before, but some of it is fresh to me, and that's always nice. Inspiring. As a GM, you need things to give you that little kick to keep you going. Just astounding quality. And we move on now to the glossary. I just absolutely have to recommend the world of Thedas to you. This was giving you your opportunity of a first look at it, and I hope that was helpful.